welcome to this session of the Building the Future event by Microsoft focused on well-being and society. My name is Maite Covino Gonzalez. I am a director in the Azure business here at Microsoft, but I'm here today with you in my capacity as well-being lead in the Portugal site. I want to take you on a journey with me today. And it's a journey where we will discover together the 7 dimensions of our own well-being. Most importantly, how we can positively impact all of them. Because guess what? Only when we find the right balance across those 7 dimensions, we are in a position to achieve a truly fulfilling and meaningful life. So let's start with the definition of well-being. And I have chosen one that really speaks to me. This is, there are many out there, but this is the one, that for me definitely brings, all the essence of what well-being is. It is an active process through which people become aware of and make choices towards a more successful existence. Now, that successful existence might mean happiness or a perfect state of well-being. Whatever that end state is for you, that's a very personal one. What definitely, I think it's important to remember around well-being is that it is an evolving process. It's all about achieving our full potential. And it's also multidimensional. It's not only down to one thing, but a combination of different ones. And that's where I want to walk you through today, in that journey. Oftentimes, when we think about well-being or being well, the first thing that comes to our mind is physical health. Okay, are we in good shape? Are we exercising enough? Eating well? Keeping, some good, healthy sleep habits? But the reality is that well-being is far more than that. According to research, a person's well-being can be measured against 7, sometimes even 8, depending on the research, dimensions of well-being. Each dimension means something different to everyone. And understanding what it means to you can help you uncover what you value in life, what your strengths are, and what you might need to work on. So let's start on this journey and let's unveil these 7 dimensions. The first one is social well-being. And it's all around, that sense of connection and belonging that we have with the people around us. Are those, personal connections with family, with friends, co-workers, your community that become, that support network that you have for life. So ways to enhance it, it's all about, fostering healthy relationships that are based on care and mutual respect. It's also about finding the time to nurture those relationships. And that's where, that work-life balance becomes so critical. One aspect also that it's important is around, addressing conflicts when they come. And the sooner you do it, the better, because you are reducing in there, the ripple effect that it can have in all the other dimensions. Last but not the least, it's all about, striving for diverse and inclusive relationships, bringing that richness around, cultural perspectives, backgrounds, all that, when you open up in your circles with all those different, aspects of diversity and inclusion, that can definitely, have a very positive impact on your social well-being. The next one is around our surroundings, and think of this, and think of environmental well-being as how it connects with the quality of our home, but also our work environment, our community, and the nature, the impact that we have in the planet, how we feel, around how we are positively contributing to that well-being. It's also a very important aspect of our life. And this is where, the opportunities are going to be in the area of spending time in nature, because that has a very nice restorative effect, in other dimensions of our well-being. But it's also about, exploring how we can even make more contributions to it, educate on recycling, on sustainability solutions, on those habits that we can, put in place on becoming more conscious consumers and all that, and the positive impact that comes with it. The next one is around, and it's a critical, on spiritual well-being. And this is related to your values and your beliefs. And they help, they shape who you are and help you define, and find your meaning and purpose in life. So it's always critical that we have, a very solid value system and beliefs, because they are going to be the ones that are going to be our strengths in times of difficulty. So exploring there, what that sense of purpose means for you. What is the meaning in life that you are pursuing? And then work actively towards that. There is also, in here an opportunity to make it an experience where you take into consideration your past, your present, and also your desires for the future. And make it a very inclusive exercise, because when you are also including others in that journey and you make a positive impact on them, that's also going to uplift your spiritual well-being. The fourth one down the line of the dimensions is the financial well-being. So might be very obvious that definitely, how we feel about our financial situation does play a big role in that stability. It's all about, how our financial security and stability allows us to live the best life, the life that we want to live, and how we manage, those short and long-term goals to achieve that. How do we plan, to manage for those emergency situations that can break, that stability that we have. But very importantly, and this is where the dimensions connect among themselves, is about being mindful on what emotions or situations do trigger negative spending habits. So once you know that, you can actively, take an action, because that's an impact, in other dimensions and as a ripple effect into your financial well-being as well. The number 5 is around, the sense of satisfaction that we have with the work that we do. And it's also known as the occupational well-being. And think of this as well, linked with the one we just described around our spiritual one. It's how you pursue work that really aligns, with that purpose that you have defined for your life, and how it reflects and aligns with your value system, with your interests and your beliefs. So how to enhance in this area? It's definitely, making in there, conscious decisions for you to make that career path that you want to have, and how you maintain, a positive attitude every day as you go and do, your work. It's about, strategizing, what your career goals are, what you want to pursue. And by that, making decisions and engaging with professionals that are already there that can help you, reveal opportunities for you to take on that career path. And also find, make sure that you have in there, a safe and a comfortable working environment, linking with the environmental one that we just described. Physical well-being, it's definitely, as we were saying before, maybe the first one that comes to your mind when you think well-being. And it's all about, that striking that balance on our health habits, being the food that we eat, the exercise that we do, and the hours that we sleep. So these 3 are at the core of it. So when you think about, how can I sustain and maintain on my physical well-being, think about making, conscious decisions on finding the right time to play, and have opportunities in these 3 areas. Oftentimes, stress, time management issues, anxiety become, ways to divert our attention from making sure that these 3 core pillars of physical well-being are in place. That's definitely where we need to navigate through those barriers and make those mindful eating practices and exercise and sleeping habits a priority. The last one is around mental well-being, and it's not the last and the least important. If anything, there are also some research that put that mental well-being at the core of it. And it's all about, our ability to cope effectively with life and all those dimensions that we have been discussing. Now, there is a lot, around self-care practices and mindful decision making that we need to take into consideration when we think about our mental well-being. And this is where self-awareness, self-compassion, and self-reflection do heavily contribute to our mental well-being. Think of cultivating growth mindset, and that acknowledges that you can learn from the challenges. They will make you stronger. It's a learning. Learn from that, embrace that opportunity, and move on. Be also aware that doing your best does not mean reaching a point of a mental breakdown. You need to take care of yourself. Remember always, the analogy of the oxygen mask in the airplane. And definitely, let's make sure always as well that any failures on our professional life do not get on the way on us considering that we are less worth on a personal standpoint. Scheduling self-care practices, it's super important, and they should be part of your daily routine. Now, COVID-19 times have definitely had, an impact around well-being. That is for sure, something that we need to be mindful of. So taking that into consideration, and, by the time that the pandemic will go away, definitely, our 7 dimensions will have been impacted in a way or another. One of the biggest challenges has been, around mental health predominantly, has been around the stigma associated with seeking help. But guess what? Not all has been bad, on that effect that this pandemic has had on the 7 dimensions. And one of the positives in there is that the pandemic has made conversations about mental health more socially acceptable, and more people are becoming, willing to open up. We are having now those conversations. We are all in very similar circumstances, and it's okay to talk about how we feel. So that is definitely, a very unique opportunity that we have, and something that, we should embrace moving forward. Now, I have a call to action for all of you, and I want to leave you today, in this part of the session with some food for thought. Let me bring the sense of urgency on why that call to action. And it's all about, the Portugal health report that you have right now in your screen. Unfortunately, look, in Portugal, we have a record that I'm sure we are not proud of. And that being that it is the European country with the highest rate of depression and the number 2 worldwide. The prevalence, as you can see, is on a 22%, and it grows 7% year over year. And then, if you think of physical health, well, less than half of the population is in good health or very good health. So that for sure, a link in there, as you can see, to chronic depression being one of the leading health problems makes this, definitely, a space that we need to watch out. Last but not the least, obesity levels. More than 16% of the Portuguese population is obese nowadays, and that is 1% above the average in the European Union. So with this, there is definitely a need for us to start, breaking stigmas. How can we do that? Well, 3 steps that I'm proposing to you today. It all starts with awareness. It's about, increasing people's exposure to the subject, talking about mental health, but also, any of the other dimensions on that well-being. And let's open the dialogue and trigger curiosity. That goes a long way. With that, we will be combating those external stigmas. And the more that we talk about it, the more we are going to normalize that. That's definitely, a conversation for us to have. The next step is, an active education. Let's address misinformation. Let's address those stereotypes out there. And let's make sure that we also, are mindful of the language that it's used, and that we also address, inappropriate words when they are being used. That's also very important. Last but not the least is about support. We need to show support. We need to become allies, and we need to do all this with a lot of respect. And when we do that, we will be able to start changing, the sign of that equation and those numbers that I just showed before, because there is a huge opportunity and a big need for us to change the sign of those equations. This is all that I had for you today. Thank you so much for your time. I really hope this session was inspirational and that it contributes to your personal well-being journey. Thank you. Take care. Bye.